It being 5 o'clock, I call the Selectmen's meeting to order. I don't have an agenda here in front of me.
It's just the,
Yeah, we're going
the
with the
rec
rec.
community conversation. I think Carl's got all the,
Yeah, I didn't print an agenda, but I didn't think it was going to be worth it.
he's got the
But
info.
if you want to just hand the floor to me, then
You're more than welcome.
Do we have to open the public hearing? Is it a public hearing?
it's a public
Conversation.
It's just a public
conversation.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing to, we're not presenting anything, so there's,
Okay.
This is the
Yeah.
fewest people we've ever had at a meeting, Linda.
I don't think it was publicized though.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
it was
Yeah,
in
it
the
was.
newspaper and,
in
On the
exchange.
exchange.
Was it in the paper?
Well, I didn't
Yeah,
read
and we
the
put
paper.
posters
I
up.
never saw it, a poster or a paper anywhere.
it was
I don't think
posted.
it was in, who put it in the paper?
I thought it was gonna go, well, either way.
I thought
But it
was
was
supposed
on
to
the
go in
exchange.
paper, and I don't have the exchange, but I mean, it's not at post offices either.
Oh,
The posters.
the posters didn't get up on post offices.
I don't think
Was I
anybody knows
supposed to I didn't know anything.
Yeah.
This happened when I was
You-
away and
you
that
probably-
didn't
But
get
then,
communicated.
oh, I thought
to me.
I said to you, and you said, oh, I'll print the posters and hang them up.
Did I say that?
Yeah, that's okay.
Correct. I'm sorry.
It was on the exchange.
Well,
But a lot of people don't have that.
no, I,
Hey,
But
Jamie,
we did get some
come on in.
response.
Please come
Yes.
on
Come
in.
we'll take.
Hi.
Oh, Barb.
Love you.
Yeah.
Barb.
We
Great.
got about 5 or 10 responses.
We got a lot of
Yeah.
emails.
Yeah.
How are you? I'm Jamie.
Good. Hey, Linda.
So I don't know
nice
if
to
we
meet
should
you.
just start the discussion with the emails that
Jamie,
we've already
how are you?
just
Yeah,
make those
good.
public, sort of, or.
All right,
Carl's
I
got a
was going to
plan.
say,
Oh, hi.
Okay.
I didn't realize it. Hi.
I just wanted to say that a lot of work has already gone into trying to figure out what to do about a recreation department in town. There've been 2 different studies done and very good reports from both of them. So I want to thank the people that did that work. And we are using that information to try to work it out. And I'd also like to thank the people who sent emails because they couldn't make it. So the goal of the meeting really is to listen to public input, read some emails, do some brainstorming, strategizing for a successful program. So I'm going to start by just reading a few of these, or at least highlighting, reading what I highlighted. Some of them are pretty long. Not going to give names. So this one, I asked my 9-year-old what her favorite thing she did with rec was, and she said basketball and soccer. So he thinks that the sports programs are pretty important. And some of the trips for adults and elderly, he admitted that getting the word out to the elderly was a little tricky sometimes because they don't all use computers. He liked the idea of an old home week because he's been going to Madison's. They're in the middle of theirs, I think, or they were. And then as far as the summer program, he said it never worked for his family. The hours offered just weren't good. Working families need more than a half-day program, and so he never did take advantage of that. Some of the emails were just long lists of what they thought would be good. After-school programs for kids, summer rec program or playground, Easter egg hunt, 4th of July, bingo night, board game night, Halloween, Santa, movie nights. I mean, the lists go on and on.
How do I?
Someone with a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, swimming lessons was her highest priority, but also soccer and gymnastics, and then the list. Music, art, karate, chess, pottery, baking, Lego, sewing, yoga. This one really just said swim program was the most important thing. Let's see, my daughters really enjoyed the soccer program last year. They're also looking forward to the summer program. Come on in.
Thanks for coming.
a lot of the parents I spoke with about the summer program said they couldn't afford it. Love to see the program offer something for middle schoolers and teens. And then someone wondering if there were programs currently being offered by other organizations that would be more effectively covered by the rec department. For example, would the rec director be able to take on organizing role in the ski program? And yoga, dance, mountain hiking trips, but almost everybody said swim lessons and fall sports as priorities. This one was interesting. I recently volunteered for a Tamworth Family Day. This is someone who hadn't ever met our rec director before, but in conversation here, some of the things that stood out. He mentioned that he felt disconnected and he was virtually alone at the office. It was challenging to talk through ideas and issues being separated from others. Mentioned it was hard not knowing the background and the players in town. So that's something that we have to deal with for sure. So that was pretty much it from the emails I got. I guess we could see if there's anything that you folks have to say, comments or suggestions.
Yeah, I guess we'll open it up to the
Yeah, let's do that. See what
public and see if there's anything. Does anybody have anything that they'd like to
add to that list or
share?
I just have a question.
yeah,
Is Dan still the director or is he gone?
he's gone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could I get your name for the record?
Kathleen Nugent?
Thank you.
Yeah, presently we don't have a recreation director, and so we're going to be kind of scrambling this fall to try to make things available. Obviously, the town wants recreation opportunities for the kids. Everybody wants that, and we all do too. So we're going to do what we can.
I think
Yes.
right. Oh,
Go ahead.
no, Barb, go ahead.
And if you could state your name.
Barb Bloomberg. I have heard a number of people mention wanting to have more family activities. I also have been involved with the outing club in terms of trying to get the ski program for the Brett School going again. And it's a challenge. It's a lot of organization, as I'm sure you can know or imagine. But it's also a challenge because we had problems with scheduling with the ski area during COVID. And the key people that have been really doing all the coordinating at the Brett School have retired, two people this year that have retired. So I was just speaking for myself as I haven't had a chance to, get feedback from the others on the outing club about this, but speaking for myself, I wondered if there wouldn't be a role for the rec department to kind of be an umbrella rather than seeing what other ones are doing, is seeing, how they could be the umbrella for other organizations and either doing the in-school, and communicating, publicizing things, more of a role in that department. And specifically to the ski program, maybe there would be a role for them in the school to help. And I know there are going to be people, we don't even know who they are at this point though, that will be able to help, but having a person in the front office, having someone to coordinate volunteers that go with the kids, the buses, there's a lot of pieces to it, the equipment, etc. So that's something with volunteer organizations also, people change and focuses change, and some organizations like the ski club outing club find themselves getting a little spread thin. So I just came with the thought that maybe while you're considering the rec department's role, maybe there could be more of a coordinating or communicating kind of role in that. And again, family activities, I think it would be really neat to have a junior outing club, for instance. Anyway, that's it for me.
Perfect. Yes.
Jamie Killeen, I can kind of speak to that a little bit, because I've been involved with the rec department here for many years. My daughter did the outing club, she skied at King Pine, it's a brilliant program. Obviously I ran the soccer program here while she was here. She went through the soccer program. It was ran great back then by someone, I forget what his name was.
Huh.
No, it's a joke, right?
I'm on it.
Yeah, you're right, thank
I
you.
ran the program.
So I ran the program for like 2 years, then I went into the middle school, then I went into the high school, did all the soccer for her all the way through until she went into college, and now she plays for Bentley University. There's a couple of kids that went through the Tamworth programs too. Lee Dennis, I don't know if you know Lee, the Dennis name. You might know Lee, right?
Yes.
Did you go to school with him?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Lee went through my programs too, and he went on, ended up playing in college, and now he's out coaching college out in the Midwest. Reason I bring that up is then I started my own soccer club. I coach down at Seacoast United, which is a large organization. They do multiple sports now, and actually have been bought out by a larger company. When that happened, I pulled myself back, started my own private business. It's a soccer club right here in Tamworth. But my home grounds, I play out of Wolfboro, out of the Nick. So back to the ski and the idea that you can have a private organization oversee a program, to me that's like the no-brainer. So in other words, if King Pine wanted to run the ski program, you would have somebody coordinating with King Pine. If Northern New Hampshire Soccer Club ran your soccer program, you would have somebody coordinating with Northern New Hampshire Soccer Club. I have everything set up, ready to go, you know, multiple avenues for the kids to go in, multiple programs that we could offer, and we could oversee the programs for the town. We're already doing it for the Ossipee. Some of you know Justin Chafee. Justin, you know, I organized their soccer program. We did that last year for them. We actually did it here last year, not with much success. I came back in and I spoke with Dan, explained to him what we were doing. Even, you know, we got a grant from a foundation that I work with. We brought in about $1,000 to the town. The town then paid me to run the soccer program. Unfortunately, Dan was not very responsive, didn't really, reach out to me very often. I mean, we even made him shirts and things. Even I think I have 25 of these still, you know, just so you know. So this was you guys' shirts, but he didn't really reach out or you know, bring the kids to us. So that's all we really needed, was the kids to be there. We were sending our coaches out here, but in the end we only sent like, we'd send our coach and there'd only be 2 or 3 kids out of the program, so it didn't really make much sense. Whereas Miss Leanne right over here, that was the fall, wasn't it? You and I got together? Or was it the spring?
This past year?
Yeah, was it fall?
Well, we were talking in the fall, and we worked with Dan, and we were trying to coordinate.
No, but when did you come over? When did you come over to play us?
Yeah, that was when Henry and I were coaching.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was in the fall.
that was brilliant.
Yeah.
So we coordinated very, very well with a group. I think they're all from Tamworth, correct?
Yeah, that was the rec team.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they came over and we had a great time of it, and you know, and there's obviously a need for the soccer anyway, because I saw some really good players there. But I don't see a reason. I mean, again, I don't know what the finances are and things like that. But over the years, working with a director, for me in soccer in particular, was frustrating, because I just want to do my stuff. I know what I need to do, but then coordinating with somebody that wasn't responsive was a little frustrating. So with us being a private business and knowing what we need, again, don't know if you're planning on hiring another rec director. My idea would be to find somebody that's passionate about whatever it is, skiing, soccer, whatever it might be, and have that person coordinate with a private entity, because that private entity then I have more reason to you know, have a successful program. I want my coaches to be successful. I want my players to be successful. I want it to be coordinated. We're already coordinating with 5 towns in the region as well, where we set up league games and things of that nature. Again, there would be more, what's the best word for it? Just coordination and organization. If you hired somebody that actually does the thing that you're looking to do. you know, I sat down with Dan last year, and he wasn't, who said that he wasn't really connected to the, he had no real connection, he had no real family connection even to the location, or to Tamworth, I don't think. But anyway, my idea would be find vendors for those particular sports. There's a ton of them around. It's a big business now. Try not to get bamboozled so much, because you don't want to pay too much for the service, whatever that service might be. But then go in that direction. And instead of listing 50 things, let's take one at a time. Say, we'll do these, this one, and this one would be great. What's conducive to the location, and then just do them well. You know, do them well rather than doing 50 things, you know, not so well. Do 5, 6 really well. So, anyway, that was. I spoke with Leanne yesterday, and I told her I would come in and kind of chat. So.
Can you spell your last name for me?
Killeen.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to say that last fall, I mean, Dan had just started like in August, right? Or
Yeah.
July? I mean, he was brand new.
Yeah.
He was brand new.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
Hi, Sharon Morrison. One of the things that struck me both about, there was some conversation about the rec department at the town meeting, and then some of the comments here, is that there are a number of organizations in town or near the town that are volunteer-based or commercial or somewhere in between. And so there's lots of energy and there's lots of focus, but they're kind of specialized. And it does make sense, like what you, I forgot your first name. Barb. What Barb was saying is to have someone in the rec department position who can leverage what the town can provide and what they can do well, and then leverage partnerships with all of the different organizations so that you're getting the best of all the worlds. Because, you know, like the Tamworth Outing Club has, you know, a set of dedicated volunteers and a board and an ability to do some organization. Other groups do too. And then, you know, soccer organization, there's a tennis organization. And it just seems to me that, like, we've got limited resources as a town, but if we have the ability to have someone who can help coordinate so that we are providing things in a way that they're open to more people, right? So get them, you know, at a cost that meets the needs of all the people in the town, and leverage the skills and the energy that's being provided by all these other organizations. To me, that seems to make sense. So it's less about, this is going to be one more program in the town running our particular things, but more about how do we coordinate and leverage.
Yeah, just to that point, really, again, it makes total sense to say we go find them and we pull them into us rather than us try and create something that, you know, let's go and find something and locally that helps us. Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, it would be cheaper
Correct.
and easier
Alright.
in the long run.
Correct.
Right.
I think what we're saying is take someone who'll take the initiative to, you know, to not only find the groups and see what the town, he is or she as a director can, you know, help, and especially with communicating to make sure the families know about it, make sure the kids know about it, make sure, you know, that activities and events that are coming up are publicized well. But yeah, take the initiative rather than go and say, okay, well, you know, what am I supposed to do? Because this organization's doing this and that organization's doing the other thing.
You don't want to compete with the organization. You just want to have them and their expertise come in and run the program. I think that's what we're saying.
And honestly, I think there's a bit of a win-win. I'm in a handful of organizations since
Well,
joining the town, and there are varying levels of skill around organizing and communication and marketing, right? And so having someone who's kind of in the middle, who's good at that, there's a bit of a win-win there, I think, too.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment?
Well, can I have your name? Shauna Peterson. Thank you. I'm a parent here in Tamworth. My kids have participated in rec, both soccer and some of the other tennis. And so I guess my questions are here is, what's our fall going to look like? And my experience with rec has been really well. I do know that Dan relied heavily on parent volunteers to run a lot of organization, which was fine. I think a lot of that was successful for like basketball and the soccer that We did. He had a huge soccer following. Obviously, there weren't away games. It was more like just skill building. Is that what we're leaning towards, or are we going to be leaning more towards like travel soccer and going to like the Wolfboro Nick, which is where we were kind of at soccer at the end of the year, which I know a lot of parents struggled with the ability to get their kids variety of places. So I just, those are just some questions I have. I mean, we definitely want sports, but I think the feeling that I get from other parents and myself, I mean, I work is, what is it going to look like? Is there going to be a balance of travel leagues and like just having kids out there playing soccer with their friends? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like accessibility, like if there was
Accessibility,
transportation.
transportation and cost, I think, are the biggest deciding factors as far as parents go. Is the cost of what it's going to do
And hours. too,
and then
or-
hours.
Yeah.
Like, is it going to be directly after school? Where would that fit in, and where do parents need to travel, given the current state of inflation and.
I mean, I think right now we're just taking information.
Oh, yeah,
without
I'm
it, and
just-
so that's like good to know that those are things to consider. I know
You're right,
historically,
the fall season's coming right up.
yeah,
It's like.
We're going to have to scramble
yeah.
to.
And so right now,
I've seen specific to soccer, I can say we can do whatever you want.
Right.
All right.
It depends on what you want to do, but I have programs from 5 years old all the way through to 23-year-olds. So it's actually, you guys would say this is what we want, and then
Yeah.
you design the program that way. It's
And-
not, and we could do home away games, we can, as long as the field's available and you can get it in shape, we can schedule games at the field. One of the reasons we didn't was because I have a beautiful location at the Nick, and it's gorgeous, and
No.
I pay good money for it. But it doesn't mean that we can't run a game here and bring our players here. That's the idea, is to share players, share programs, share coaches, share everything. So we would love to play here in Tamworth, If there was a team, and Leanne last year provided that team, if we can, we know that there's a team that's going to be here, we'll send our coaches, we'll send our referees, we'll do all of that.
But I think, Shauna, your points are good ones, because like historically, my son's now 18, and he started playing rec soccer when he was, when does it start, second grade or something? And we always had like a rotation up until last year he coached with me. And last year was scheduled differently, but part of that was because other towns have lost their rec departments too, so they weren't scheduling games.
Okay.
But we used to travel to pretty typical places: Madison, Freedom, Ossipee, Sandwich once in a while, though they're scary because they're fiercely great soccer players. They like start when they're 6 months old, they're good like balls. But I mean, so I think that the idea is to get this feedback to say, like, if it's really a struggle, if parents are not participating in the program because the transportation can't work for a number of people, then that's something we have to factor into our programming. So we don't just say, well, we've always done it and people have figured it out. We can say, I mean, we're trying to figure it out anew right now to be responsive to what we need. So that's a kind of information we'll keep in.
Yeah, and I think it would be great to have a travel team. I absolutely do, but I do know it's a struggle for parents, especially parents coming from Conway. Like, it's hard to balance that at this point.
Absolutely.
And one thing that I just kind of have thought of just listening to you all and thinking about it is it would be really great if the rec director would really reach out to the parents of the community and like have like actual like connection times that they're available just for like public input and like what you want coming up and what is missing, and like I think that would help with that like connection to the community if he just had like some maybe like open rec days at the rec fields or something where it's like come and play with whatever balls at hand and talk to me about anything you want or something like that.
I was just going to say, what I hear being described is somebody whose skill sets are not soccer or, particular rec department. There's project management
Right.
and marketing communications. And that's a very different set of skill sets than we look for.
Community organization.
And community organization. So that's an interesting sort of twist on that role, which then would leverage all these different things that the town has.
And you
And
don't
the
have to be
committee-
an athlete or a
No.
whatever. You
Or
have to be
somebody
able
who
to
does-
find the
yeah.
people who fill those needs.
Right.
That's
That's
appropriate
interesting.
for team sports. But then the people in the town really want some other things as well from the rec department.
But I still feel like it could be a lot of
there's
networking and coordinating. And
And there's
there-
Arts
could still be.
Tamworth, there's the History Center, there's the library, I mean, there's so many
There's
yoga
amazing programs.
Come on in, Lisa.
What tends to happen too in those situations, having done it for many years, is you get people from all walks, right? You get them all come together. They are the sports are part of it, so you all come together. But then everybody goes off into their different avenues, and it's just it's community based, right? So we're inviting the community to everything. You want the community to, in England it's a little bit different. Everybody supports the soccer club, but the idea was that everybody came to the club, the one location, and then you split off from there commercially, whatever it might be, and it was almost like a commercial venture too, to have a good sports team or a good recreation program or a good ski team. You would be known for that, and then the community would grow from there. So yeah, I see it as being more of a PR thing, or somebody that can organize and galvanize the group, right? And then bring everybody into every event. My daughter growing up did as many as she could, and then went off into soccer, but loved the ski program, and did as much as she could, and was at the library, and used all of the everything that was offered by the town. So I think it's synergistic in that regard. So.
And if you're a good coordinator and communicator, then you also are fluid. So if you see something's not particularly working, or was, everybody was into yoga right now, so you point out where you point people to yoga. Yoga's not a thing, nobody wants yoga, they're already in their yoga places. Then you shift. So it's not that Tamworth has this rec program, it's always responsive, but you need somebody with good communication skills who is out in the community in whatever way, in the schools, wherever, finding out that kind of feedback. Like, yeah, we love sports, but this is the problem. Or so you can always be tweaking it. I think tweaking is a great
I like
thing.
that word.
Yes, Barb.
Can I add something just to kind of pull all this together? I think it's really helpful to have somebody who's visible too. And what if we had, we must have room in the Brett School to have an office for the rec department there, so that people would see him, so he could go up and do the morning announcement or whatever. That can make a huge, I've seen like teen centers, for instance, where one guy came in and he really gave the kids ownership to the program. And we had a dynamic teen center for a few years because there was a room left over at the school. And he put out flyers, he talked to the kids in the hall, and all this kind of thing. As soon as he left, it died. Even though the person was replaced, but the person makes a difference. And visibility would be helpful.
Yes, Linda?
A few things. When one of your emails, it said that Dan felt like he was left out and separated from others and things like that. I'm really not a fan of this whole liaison thing, like one person focused on him, because I think that for weeks I asked why he wasn't on the agenda, but I think he went 14 weeks and before he got fired that he hadn't been in here. I think that when you have department heads in here, more often, not even on rotation, they used to be in here every week, and if they were at a game, they weren't here, but there was an excuse why they weren't, but when they can be in contact with the whole board of selectmen and the public every week, they'd be more involved than just single them out to one person. I just think that if they're here and they can talk, and people on Zoom or whatever, or the people that are sitting here can ask questions and things, they'd be more involved than just having one person and them being on a rotation of 6 weeks or something. Things happen every week in every program, in every department that I think need to be addressed more. Another thing is, we do have yoga at the townhouse. It's nothing to do with the rec, but they're there 2 or 3 times a week. When Shauna, I think, was talking about the traveling. I'd travel anywhere with my kids, it didn't matter where it was. But there's a lot of parents that work and they can't, if a game is at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, they're not gonna drive to Wolfboro with their kids. And my son went through Kennett through football, and I mean, there's probably 5 parents that went to every game that traveled. The rest of them, no. I mean, you never saw the parents even at home games. So I mean, that's a huge thing.
Yeah.
Wolfboro to a lot of parents in Tamworth is a long ways.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that it's, I mean, if you try to get more in town, you'd get more kids participating, just because the traveling is hard, especially if parents work in North Conway or something. Time they get home to drive to Wolfboro, it's hard for parents that are working. That's really, I mean, it would be ideal if all the parents had time to do that, but most of them can't.
Yeah. All right.
Did Lisa
Sean?
come? Lisa might come for a reason too.
Comment, any comment?
Oh. Good. I'm preparing for the next
Oh, okay.
presentation.
I didn't know if you came for this one.
No, I
just wanted
did
to
because
get your
I did because
opportunity.
I'm interested and I'm sorry to be late. I didn't hear the first part of this. Swimming.
Yeah. We did mention it. Yeah.
High on the list.
Yeah, good. I think of long-term a community pool. I mean that's this is if we're going to
We
think
do.
big.
We can put it in my backyard. I get a pool, you get a pool.
Yeah. Well, it's and I think that idea's been talked about for a long time. And of course, it's a big budget item and one thing. But I think sports that include boys and girls. That it's not just the boys teams. What if we had a girls softball team, or I think it, and not every girl wants to play softball, but the ones that do, it would be great, to
Girls are good at softball.
yeah, and it does all the same things for them that it does for the boys in terms of team sports and working together and camaraderie, the whole thing. So I think that would be
All
what I
right.
would focus on.
Sean?
Just one other thing, I must remember the PTA, and we did try to get a dance going for the school, for the kids this year, and weren't able to, because there just wasn't enough teachers that were able to accommodate. So whatever we can do to support the school with either after-school support with programming, and as well as like dances for the middle schoolers, and having those opportunities for kids to meet, but taking the burden off of the teachers as much as possible would be really, I
And
think,
the parents,
beneficial.
I think.
Is there,
And the parents,
is there no athletic director at the school anymore?
There wasn't last year. I don't think they
I
hired
don't
somebody
think they
last
hired
year, did
anyone.
they? Yeah. They've looked for a little bit.
So there's a huge gap there for after-school programming for kids. And I mean, also after-school childcare is really kind of a problem right now as well in this area. So parents are really feeling that struggle. So if we can help support that and support the teachers and kind of take some of the burden off of that as a town, I think it would be another huge.
So
It
sounds like there's a huge need for like after-school
Right.
programming activities, local.
So that's why
Extending the workday for parents.
that's why I recommend having the programs right after school, obviously.
Yeah.
Like that's what we've done over there, and it would be fairly easy for, they used to walk them over, didn't they,
Yeah.
Leanne?
Yeah.
They used to
Dan
walk over,
walked all the soccer kids over last
Yeah.
year.
and it works great. As an after-school program.
Yes, Linda?
But one of the biggest struggles with the swimming is that they need to have lifeguards.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that's why they don't have it at White Lake right now, there's the lifeguard
Qualified,
thing. And that's the
right
thing
now.
is, I mean, if the
Certified.
town has
Certified,
to
yeah.
advertise to try to get somebody signed up now for the classes, and if the town has to pay, we need lifeguards in the town of Tamworth so that we can have swimming lessons next year. It can't be looked at next May.
No, no.
It's like now,
Yeah.
it needs to be pushed ahead for that.
But a couple meetings ago, I came up with the idea of possibly having the rec director be that certified lifeguard.
Yeah.
so that it
But the
actually.
only problem with that is that then they can't
Do anything else.
do anything else. They
But
can't be
maybe
in
they're
charge. to-
coordinating the soccer, and maybe they're coordinating
But like
the.
if they're the lifeguard, they can't be really signing people in and out of the lake or something because they have to be watching everybody in the lake. But I mean, I just think that now is a time to get looking for that and advertising for that to try to do it now.
And it's not actually as expensive as we thought it was, because I just looked into it.
I think it's
Just the
accessibility.
availability.
No,
It's-
it's not that, it's not inaccessible either. But you can't wait until,
No.
you can't wait
next spring.
until April.
No.
They're offered in the winter months, which is what we didn't do last.
And isn't it only in Concord? Was
No.
our impression?
No, if you look at the state camp association website, I don't know what it's called, but if you look at that, they list all kinds of trainings like this.
Oh.
And they just had a training, and I sent it to Dan, but it was like too late. It was like June 14th at one of the camps in Tuftonboro on Winnipesaukee. And it was like a 3-day training for the lifeguards and 2-day training for water safety, like to be able to do lessons. So it's out there, but you have to look at it now. You've got to find people who are willing to get trained and commit to a certain period of time, so you're not training people all the time. But I think that you're right, that's got to
Be
be
done right away.
like hit the ground running. I don't think, I'd like us to not just focus on sports for rec either, though. And don't get me wrong, like the after-school sports is having my son be in sports was one of the best things for him right up into, I mean, he's an athlete. So it's huge. But I think that the idea of a coordinator also looks into all the other things. Like one of the things that Dan, I believe, was going to get going, and I don't know that he got going, was the town calendar that we've talked about forever, and there was never a person to do it. But if this person were a coordinator of that calendar, there's so much going on that fits
Already
under
in town.
recreation. We don't need to reinvent wheels, but we need to have good mechanisms for informing people. And I don't think a rec director or rec coordinator or whatever we want to call it has to be doing all of the coaching all of the things or teaching the painting lessons or whatever else, but you've got to be looking at anything that can be considered rec and pulling it in. You've got to be doing that legwork
And
so you
promoting
know
it.
and promoting it.
Yeah.
And you've got to be knowing when the lessons, when the instruction is to get people certified. So you've got to be thinking 10 steps ahead. So those are all those is it Susan? Sharon, sorry. That when you were talking about that kind of coordinator, it's a critical thinking kind of model of being able to pull what's already in existence together and then figure out how to fill in gaps. Whether it's, and it could be a different kind of model, like subbing things out,
Yep. Linda?
But now, for the swim program, again, Becky's daughter, Jess, she was involved with it for years. I mean, she's one that maybe we should reach out and say, we'll pay for the training or whatever if you will sign in for helping us with swimming lessons in the coming years or something. But I mean, it's been 3 years without any swimming lessons, and it's huge.
Yeah,
that
I
kids
really
need.
think
It's a big issue.
That is
that's
a huge
something that I
issue.
think that a lot of people would like to see
So
done.
many people.
And I mean, the skiing program, I don't think Parker ever had anything to do with it, with the
Yeah.
ski program. And I mean,
Nope.
and it's, my kids didn't need it, they participated in it, but they were on the Claremont race team, but to be there every single week and help all of these little kids buckle their boots and every single week, it was huge. That was their highlight. They would have never been on that mountain without that ski
Right,
program.
I agree.
And it's huge. I mean, their parents can't afford to put their kids on skis and pay for tickets.
It's
And I
probably
mean,
one of the best programs my daughter ever did.
yeah, and I think that is like, if the town can help the outing club try to get that back going, I mean, it's huge.
I think one thing that we're up against too, though, and Barb brought it up a little bit or alluded to it, and this is an issue with the swim program too that we're finding, is that you've had a historic relationship with King Pine or a historic relationship with White Lake, and those entities are not as interested in maintaining the relationship the way it has been for a long time. So
What's the reason for that? Is there a reason for that, or?
they're all kinds. Yeah, they're all kinds. So
Oh.
it's switching in ownership, switching
I
in
see,
missions,
yeah,
switching in
yeah.
whatever. COVID caused transitions organizationally.
It's hurt a lot.
Just
But-
to make it clear that with the ski program, that we're gonna make sure it happens.
No, I'm not
And-
saying
and
you're
we
not.
fund it
I'm
and
not saying
everything
you're not.
else, but if there is a role, yeah.
I'm
And
just saying
also-
that.
And King
Let
Fund's
me just
committed
finish, let
to,
me just finish the thought about
Right,
it though.
yeah.
That it means that the person who's doing this has to be resilient and not just get stuck in that rut that it's gotta be King Pine, it's gotta be
Right.
King Pine. It's gotta be, like, think about how these programs that the town thinks are important can happen if we have to add a transportation component, or if it can't be King Pine, or if it's only one day a week at White Lake and it's something at, like, whatever it is, that person has to be able to think outside the box to keep meeting the needs of the town.
Yeah, the ski program, I believe, way back in the day, was done at Remix, then on Page Hill, then at Mount Whittier, then at King Pine. And so, I mean, obviously it's because I think each place closed that they moved. So now King Pine is the next closest.
Yeah.
But
Now there's like the
I think
Abenaki
it's
place.
still it's still potential to be done at Cranmore, maybe Attitash, and I know that's a lot more transportation.
People want to have it at King Pine at this
Oh.
point, so, and that's probably,
Yeah.
that's where it will be this year.
The Hoyts not
So-
run?
Oh, no, they're still.
no,
they're
they
still-
still,
still-
no, they've agreed to.
Yeah.
The issue was something with Fridays, and that's been resolved.
Oh,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, so it'll be back on
Because
Friday
I know
afternoons.
Stephen, and I mean, I do
Yeah,
that.
and
Sorry,
then-
I should have said that right off the top
Yeah,
of
yeah.
that.
I'm not in the details of organizing it, but yeah, the outing
That's
club
great.
is,
Yep.
yeah.
So I
It's
know
better.
for me personally, one of the reasons that I was really looking forward to getting some public input was that I was trying to understand if the rec department really could be a year-round full-time position or not, and to see what the community sort of wanted about that. And just hearing what comments I've heard, to me personally, it sounds like given the right person, we probably do have enough in our town and could warrant a full-time position. And so I just want to appreciate y'all coming in, because it really did make that pretty clear to me that it was more having the proper person in the position to make it the vibrant thing that we want than a lack of town charisma and keeping one going, I guess is how I would say it.
Also, the non-sports component, the Arts Council of Tamworth partnered with the rec department for our summer Stampa thing, which happened on the 4th of June. And we just had a meeting, and we're going to do one next year too. On the 10th of June, from 3 to 7.
I think we found our marketing person.
So, and that was our first time doing it, so there were a lot of things that we know we can improve for next year. But that was a partnership with the rec department, and we did that on purpose, to partner with somebody in town, and it was great, the space was great. We got a lot of people there, and it was a beautiful day, and so I think that kind of, partnering with the Arts Council as well, to do
Yeah, that network.
that collaboration was wonderful, and that could morph into all sorts of stuff. I mean, the Arts Council does have, we are very much have been historically and are continuing to be in doing programs in the Brett School. And there's one coming up for the fall residency. So, and we're planning more than that, but so I think that's another possibility.
So do we want to try to set some goals? Or something to,
Should it be in the ad so that we just get only the
Well, I don't
exuberant?
I don't know that we're ready for an ad yet.
no,
Are we?
no,
Yeah.
no. I mean,
we have
Linda.
Linda.
I just think that, I just want to hit on what Kelly said a minute ago, was about a full-time person. My daughter was on the first rec committee, and then you were on the second one. And when you guys, after the second one came out, I really said at a meeting that I didn't think it should be a full-time position, that it should start out as part-time, and if they got extremely busy, you add it on to full-time. But back when, not with Dan, but with Parker did all of the mowing in town. He did this building, he did the park, he did the townhouse. I mean, he was he took care of the townhouse to open it and shut it and all that. Nowadays, we have a maintenance person, Tim, that does all the mowing. I think even the fields he was mowing. And, I mean, the townhouse is taken by volunteers that take care of the whole townhouse and open and shut it and everything. I wouldn't start it as a full-time, just because I don't think when the kids are in school all day long and these programs are gonna start after, I mean, I just don't think there's 40 hours a week.
I guess for
And
me,
if you're gonna, you know, like, say, hire a soccer club that's gonna take over, yes, they need to coordinate it, but do they need to be there every single day, you know, or not? You know, I mean, it's like, I think that if we try to find somebody that will take it on as part-time first, but I mean, it's a lot of money for the town to be full-time with all whole full benefits, and them not have most days anything to do until 3:30 in the afternoon.
But for me, what I'm hearing is like just a lack of programs that used to be happening that aren't happening anymore. I mean, when I was a kid, there was ice skating, and the rec director took care of the ice rink. And, you know, could we have another winter ice rink? Would there be time in his schedule that he could actually maintain one? Or
I believe that
you know,
the well was put in at the rec department for that, and I don't think it ever happened, but I mean, like the ski program really wasn't a rec thing, the swim program wasn't really under rec,
But
so I
now
mean,
the outdoor club is asking it to be a little bit of one. So then,
Yeah,
Or coordination.
I think it would
Yeah.
be warranted to have a full-time person if it was the right full-time person. If it was somebody that had communication skills, if it was somebody who could program, if it was somebody who, you know, could set things up, who reached out to people in town. I think that if with the right person, it would be, they could give them.
If you start it as a part-time, and then
Yeah.
and let them know that if you can hit the ground running and find all these things and you can warrant full-time, we'll put you full-time,
Yeah,
but
I think
you
with the-
encourage them
are you
to work
thinking
for
of
it.
like a try before you buy?
Yes.
Yeah,
I think the other way around.
but I mean, if you
Yeah.
encourage them, you know, if you can make this full-time, we will offer that to you, but I
Right.
mean, you've gotta prove to us that you're gonna work
Maybe,
for it.
maybe hard to find someone.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's hard to
also,
find
the
anybody
work,
right now.
the work is hardest in the beginning, because you don't know what's available to you. I mean,
you want to be
to hit the
accessible
ground
more.
running, you got a lot to do, a
Yeah.
lot to do.
Yes.
Personally, I feel starting full-time to give them the opportunity to have the hours, because essentially sounds to me like we're asking them to start from scratch, throw out how everything has been done in the past,
And rebuild
and
it.
create an entirely new rec department organization. I think that's a lot to ask of someone in part-time, and I would hate to have us get in a position again where they're not able to make that, and we once again lose a rec director.
Yeah.
I think we need to support
Just
them as much as
quickly,
we can.
on that point, I kind of go the route of part-time. And just hear me out, just quickly. I built a number of businesses, and if you can incentivize the program, i.e., let's say, and as I mentioned earlier, if you had, let's say we pick 4 things: skiing, yoga, soccer, and what was the other one?
Swimming.
Swimming.
Art
Let's say we pick those things. We have somebody that comes in and you say, listen, it's a part-time position. Okay, we want you to build these 4 programs for us. Now we want to see some results over the next X amount of months, and you monitor that through as a town and say, what do we do? Oh, and we're working towards, and I think somebody said that, working towards you becoming full-time. Once we've got these 4 programs running, we can add something else. The more that you're able to manage as the project manager or whatever we might call them, are they really a rec director? I don't know. Coordinator, whatever the position becomes, you then can, as they add more programs, the budget can expand, and you can now not only afford the person that's running or the rec person that's running the programs, you can also afford to do more things because the programs are growing, and add an additional program. So that would be my recommendation: start part-time. Make sure it's the right person for the job too. You know, like sometimes, you know, you'll throw money at something, and you might spend a year and you don't have the right person in the right position. Now you're already, you're back again another year because you're going to find that person. It wasn't really the right choice. Whereas if you give them that 6 months, let's say, for the first 6 months, you're on a stipend of this amount. If the program grows, it's a full-time position. You might have more success finding somebody part-time to do that. I might think, you know.
But I mean,
Yes. Hold on. Donna?
I just think that would be a hard sell to have someone be like, you're gonna be part-time, if you wow us, we're gonna let you be full-time, especially given finances.
Yep.
I mean, we're probably talking about someone who has a family and trying to balance, at that point, they would need 2 jobs. I
It's-
think that would be a
it's-
very hard sell.
I think it's hard to find anybody right now, but with that being said, it's also, you don't want to give somebody a full-time position, you know, that there might be looking forward to, you know, benefits and retirement and all that, and then 6 months down the road, you say, you're not working out, and then they have to
Well,
find a
we
whole
just went a whole
new
year.
full-time position.
Yeah.
We wasted a year of that, not wasted, but I mean, we've had a year that he got full-time and we didn't get a whole lot out of it, so it's like,
If you
know,
did it
Yeah.
correctly, you had the right people in place for the programs, you wouldn't lose the programs.
I think you're gonna make
Does that make
them a goal
sense?
to
Like, you'd
work
never
with it.
lose the programs,
Yeah.
because the program, the person that's running the actual program would have ownership of that. The coordinator, I just think should be somebody that grows into the role, you know, and we have the ability to monitor them and, you know, actually kind of help them to grow into the role, you know. I would be able to help somebody in that position, and, you know, once they have confidence in me, he may never have to think about soccer ever again. Does that make sense? And then they could move on to something else. But until that happened, we wouldn't know until I had the chance of working with the guy for a couple months. You know what I mean? I wouldn't know if he's the guy or the woman. Excuse me.
But yeah,
Listen, I coach girls as well, and I call the girls guys. So that's my.
but I mean,
that's
even
my
like, you know, I mean,
Sorry.
if we have somebody
My
like
gender,
him for,
all my pronouns are off.
but like for soccer, I mean, you know, I mean, if they just have to make one call, are you willing to do soccer again this year? And then that's out of their
Done.
hands.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's not like they have to spend 3
My
nights a week.
frustrations is that it changed. It's changed. It's changed. It changed.
Yeah.
Whereas the sport of soccer's not changed, and I've been doing it for 30 years. You know, and I
But
live
I
here in
think if you get
Tamworth.
the right person there,
Yes.
they make that phone call to the soccer person and they say, thank you very much. And then they're like, okay, I'm playing baseball. You know, it's like, you don't have to just stop at soccer. There's
No.
all
Right.
of this other stuff that you could do if you had the time to do it.
And more than just sports, I mean, I think there's
Well, right.
opportunities.
I mean, it
to
just,
create,
baseball was the
like,
first thing that came to mind.
And, you
It
know,
could've been
supports
anything.
for the elderly. I mean, I think there's so much need
Yes.
within this town that can be supported through a rec program
Yep.
that the right, and that's the whole thing.
I should have said cross stitching or something. I mean,
You know,
it really
like,
could be anything.
I
because
think
there's so
that's the
much to do.
risk. It's always a risk hiring people and,
It is.
you know, be, you know, very clear and, you know, specific in interviewing, but there's always a risk. And I would hate to have us lose out on finding the right person who wants full time. Hope, you know, in the fear of them not working out. I mean, and offer as much support and like guidance. Have a mentor, have someone oversee them, as you're talking about.
And I just do
And
want to
that's
say
like,
for
you
our
know what I
board
mean?
that we really did try a lot of different things. We tried incentive, we tried a liaison, we tried a mentor, we did try a lot of
I'm
different
not.
things.
No, I'm not.
Because in an interview, it is hard. Everybody puts their best face forward, and they tell you that their communication skills are the best
We're
they're
not
gonna-
gonna,
you
Don't
know.
go out west.
yeah. I mean, so,
The town has, like, the library does so many programs with kids and adults, everything. I mean, we have the townhouse, we have 3 programs, I think, in there. Have nothing to do with rec, but I mean, there are a lot of programs.
Recreational programs,
The Arts Council, I mean, the outing club, there's a lot of other people doing a lot in town already, and it would be great to have one calendar that everything was on that would help, but I mean, I just don't see that. I mean, I think if you give them an incentive, if you can make this a full-time job, yes, but you've gotta prove it to us.
so
Okay.
my suggestion to maybe wrap, because we've got to
Gotta
move
wrap
our
it.
next meeting
Gotta wrap
is,
it.
maybe one thing that we should do, using the most recent report, looking at what's in town right now, reach out to some of the organizations like the Outing Club or the Arts Council and brainstorm a list of, based on the feedback that we've gotten from the emails and from tonight, brainstorm a list of programs that we really feel are essential, are core, and figure out what the collaborations, if there are collaborations for some of them, if some of them are standalone that a rec coordinator or director would have to figure out management for or create management for, and see what that looks like. Because some of coordination of creating a community calendar is pretty quick work. Some building collaborations that don't exist so far between the Arts Council and the town, for instance, could be something really rich that's never been mined before and could take a lot of time. We just don't know. I think we need to identify some priorities to start with a new person, and not just hire somebody and say, well, you know, here's some things you can do, these are some people you can talk to. I think we should create a clearer plan with a path, with some contacts that that we want to commit to as a trial for this new person, and whether that's subbing out soccer to like a professional company that's really passionate about soccer and gets good results, and is going to do a great program for our kids. Well, maybe that's one of them. If it's a collaboration with the outing club to make sure that we help them get enough volunteers to run their program the way that we need it to run for kids to have skip, to make sure we get swimming up and running again. Whatever those things that we identified based on this feedback are, I think that we should see what it looks like. Like, I need to see it on a page to see how much we're talking about. So we're not just saying, it might turn out to be, you know, like maybe it is halftime, maybe it is 3/4 time to start with. Maybe the potential is so huge with the right structure, this could be something we can't even imagine in a great way. But I would like as a next step to kind of coalesce this information and the notes from this meeting and see what it looks like on paper for these like kind of key articulations of starting points. So that if we hire somebody tomorrow, what are we going to tell them to do?
Yeah.
What are their key things? They need to get lifeguard training. They need to get somebody on deck for lifeguard. We've got fall time coming up. We got to get sports, and if it's going to be soccer, we've got to get. What are the priorities right now? What's that next tier? What is the low-hanging fruit? And what's like the cool pie in the sky swimming pool for the town?
Yep. I'll take a couple more public comments. Yes.
You got there. I would just say, because I build stuff from scratch all the time. So,
maybe talking about this.
no, I'm gonna shut my mouth now. So there's the like, what do we have in front of us stuff, right?
Yep.
Which kind of sizes it. But then there's the where do we want to get to, and I would suggest that you say that where we want to get to isn't a community pool. Not to say we don't want a community pool, but it's we want to. What does good look like? So good looks like we have community services that meet the needs of people of all ages of Tamworth, right? Like little kids to seniors. We've got activities that meet the needs from people of all sorts of abilities to get their kids and people different places, right? You know, like what are those kind of qualities that we want to see? So there's the what's in front of you, but where are you trying to get to, which is going to help shape what this person does to build the program.
Perfect. Yes.
Once back to my, because fall's coming up, I know that you are in the process of hiring, and that is a huge undertaking. What is the interim plan? Would you hire someone interim just to get the fall season off and running?
That's something we'll have to
on a
think
per
about.
diem type of basis, just to get it off and running.
That's something we'll have to think about. We'll take that into
Because we're
consideration.
like,
Just real quick, and I
Right
think
there.
and I've already,
Yes.
as I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, but we should all go away from here and think of somebody locally that may fit the bill. You know what I mean? Like somebody that anybody here knows that may want to take on that responsibility. I've already got a couple of people in mind that I'll call after I
Great.
get away from here. So.
Thank you.
That's what I was gonna say. Does anybody here know somebody who's local? Because you don't want to get somebody from Wyoming who has to find a place to live.
Yep.
That's a big issue.
That's
And also
number
doesn't
one.
know the landscape, you know what I mean, literally, so.
And number two, I've only heard stuff about children except for the yoga program. So how much emphasis are you going to put on people my age?
Yep.
Exactly.
I understand, and we considered that last time around with hiring, and it didn't pan out the way we were hoping to.
Yeah.
So we'll look into that more this time around. So thank you. That's all we're going to take for public input, and we're going to wrap this up, and we're going to go into recess for the next 3 minutes. Smash.
What's the weather like tomorrow?
All right, we're going to come out of recess at 6:03 p.m. On to new business with the department report with Tracy Hayes, the welfare officer.
Did you want
Keith,
public
so you-
input first?
Oh, excuse me,
Did
sorry.
you let Max and Maureen in already?
They're in.
Okay, they are.
Yeah.
I skipped over public input. Is there any public input?
Thank you.
Hearing no public input, we will move on to the department report with Tracy Hayes, the welfare officer.
Where would you like me?
Right there, wherever you
there.
like. No, you can sit. You can.
I mean,
Just don't sit behind the tall
Yeah,
sign.
So I'm not entirely sure what it is that you're looking for me to give you, other than the fact that generally welfare is any life necessity for the resident. Wintertime, we typically see requests for assistance with heat, whether it's oil, electric, their lights are getting shut off. Rent, I suspect that this year, with the skyrocketing prices of oil, I think that we're gonna, and electricity, we'll probably see a lot more of those requests. Since I've been here for over a year now, we see kind of all of those things. Assistance with rent or their mortgage, requests for electric assistance, heat assistance, things like that. Occasionally we'll see requests for food or gasoline to get to their job, things like that. But those are pretty few and far between. I think to date we haven't spent any money this year. A lot of what I try and do is try and be really fiscally responsible with taxpayer dollars and assist them in ways to kind of help them into the future, rather than here's a bunch of money right now, get you through the month, and then what do you do next month? So it's trying to find those kind of outside the box ideas on how to help them long term. So a lot of what I see is, somebody who's either willing to do the work and get assistance from the town, or not. And then we don't have to spend that money. So, like I said, to date we haven't spent any. So I suspect we definitely will as the weather gets colder and as the winter season or as fall comes and people are laid off of seasonal jobs. But right now things are still holding steady.
I have a question.
Yes.
So the Tamworth welfare application is like 17 pages long. It's more complex than my kid's financial aid application for college. It's pretty rough. So do people come in and you sit down with them and go through it? Or do they have to fill it out and then send it? Like, what's the process look like?
Yeah, so I work remotely for the most
Oh,
part.
okay.
They'll fill it out, they'll hand it over, but a lot of what I get is a phone call first. So what do I do? How do I go about doing this? So what I tell everybody is, don't let that application prevent you from looking for assistance. Fill out what you can fill out, get it into me, get as many documents as you can. If somebody can't find their birth certificate, it doesn't mean we're not gonna help them with their immediate needs. But it is documents that we need for the file. So we'll see what we can do immediately, or if somebody's about to get their electric shut off, I can make a call to Eversource and say, hey, can you put a temporary hold on their shut off until they can get me all of their documents or get me that application filled out. The application is extremely long, but it's generally all the kind of check the boxes, things that we need in order to provide them assistance. But a lot of it is just blanks, and I don't hand it back to somebody and say, hey, fill in every single blank with not applicable or a 0. A lot of what it is just talking to them and walking through that application. Yeah. So what typically happens is they'll fill out that application, hand it in to me. If I'm missing anything, I'll call them up and say, hey, get me this one document, and I'll put it into that application, that file, and then we just process.
So you really just work them through it.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Is there any questions as far as that goes? Doesn't sound like there's any. Thank you for coming in tonight, and I'm glad to hear that information. I don't think I have heard all that before, so
Yeah, that
that's
was
good
it.
to
We
know.
just
Yeah,
wanted
we
to
have
know.
a very new
Yeah.
board, and it's good to just get us all on the same page with
Yep.
what your job is, so thanks.
Sounds good. Thank
Yeah,
you very
Thank
much.
you very much.
Have a great night. On to the Arts Council of Tamworth with Max Harrison and Lisa Thompson.
Max
Everybody
Harrison.
here?
Oh,
Hi,
there he
Max.
is.
Oh,
Hi, Max. Max is our executive director of the Tamworth Arts Council, and I'm here as me and also as the current president of the Arts Council of Tamworth. So I'm going to hand it over to Max.
All right, so hello everybody.
You're
As
on-
Lisa said, my name's Max Harrison. I'm the executive director of the Arts Council of Tamworth, and I appreciate all of you including the Arts Council of Tamworth in this meeting. The purpose of us being here right now is really it's an introductory conversation and a support request to qualify for an upcoming grant that will allow us to improve Remick Park with modern playground equipment and outdoor art sculptures. Now, this is the start of a conversation that just gets us into the running to be able to get between $100,000 and $150,000 to put towards this park, where we have the chance to make a very underwhelming park, inviting, accessible, interesting. It's right in downtown, so it adds economic value, cultural value, and it would just become a fun hub for people to hang out with and enjoy. And is anyone not familiar with the area right next to the History Center, right on the almost corner of Cleveland Hill and Great Hill?
Yeah,
is everybody familiar with that?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, everybody is. Well,
Perfect. So I actually, and just right now, what the park looks like, bear with me, using technology. Oh, I can't share my screen. I have a picture of the current park. We don't have to get into that, but it's really underwhelming. There's a single play structure. There's some interesting mushroom table seats that are just tucked away into the corner. You've got a couple rocks and then really patchy grass and some really pretty trees that separate the park from the History Center. So the interesting thing about this proposal is this would cost the town almost nothing. We are going to do all of the fundraising, so we will get the grant for ideally $100,000 to $150,000. We will match the grant. We will do the legwork to make sure all the sculptures, the contractors, everything coming in, that is all covered, and there is going to be no town expense. Now, with that, we are not going to close conversation between the partnership of the Arts Council and the town. So everything is going to be a very open conversation. We can vote on things. It's not going to be Arts Council is going to run off and then in a year and a half we're going to have this great park now. It's going to be hand in hand, making sure that this represents what should be done and can be done. And frankly, we're going to do it right. We're not going to cut corners. We're not going to lower the value. We're not going to make it worse, and we're not going to just hold it at what it's at.
Max, can I just ask,
Improvement and uplift.
can I ask a question that's come to mind? Is it contingent on the grant happening, or is this project happening either way?
So it's really, if we can get this grant, that's how it's going to happen. And the grant would start, so the timeline for applying for the grant is very soon. I put in part 1 just to get the ball rolling. Part 2 is where we actually get considered for the grant. We can turn down the money. So if this goes to vote later, whether to really commit to this, to do everything, that does not have to be today. So this is really, we have a chance to get up to $150,000 to bring into the community for a community asset. And the only piece that we cannot do is just a letter from the town that says, hey, this is a great idea, we support this, and we want to be a partner.
Who was the grant from?
It is from the New England Arts Endowment, the Endowments of the Arts. New Hampshire Endowment for the Arts.
You know, he was
New Hampshire, I
still
bet.
thinking.
It's the acronyms that get you.
It's new. Yeah, I think you start throwing our own acronyms into it, so it's a tricky deal. But this is really just to be eligible for it. The conversation that we're going to have is going to be much more detailed. We really want to keep this New Hampshire based, so sculpture artists, New Hampshire commissioned, contractors coming in to do the infrastructure, New Hampshire. I mean, if we can find a local person, that would be even better. But really, it's sustainability through and through. So from start to finish, it's bringing work to Tamworth, bringing value, bringing art, and doing it the New Hampshire way. Timeline for this, so again, intro application going in for the grant, that's going to be in the next week or so. But the start date would be July 1st, ideally of 2023. Completion date would be sometime December 2024. Like I said, we're going to be hand in hand together, so this is not a Arts Council runs, makes all of the decisions. This is a team effort. This is community, it's for the community, it's by the community. And the best way to do that is for the people that the community voted for, the representatives, so you all. So it's not a one-way conversation.
Am I correct
And
then in assuming that you're looking for us to make a motion to sign the grant letter? Is that what the ask is for tonight?
Letter of support.
Correct. It's just a letter saying we support this project idea, and we would be a partner if the funds come through.
So it's
Now,
a
with
letter generated.
any money, yes.
Max, it's a letter generated here by the select board.
Are we signing? We're creating a letter.
You're creating a letter.
Okay,
Yeah,
that
just
was
to
the
say,
clarification
yeah,
that I needed.
that's
Thank
fine.
you.
Yep.
Yeah.
You could have it say whatever you would like. I would encourage to show the support, just as they're deciding, and a big part is the blending a nonprofit with the local government, because they want to see the unity, they want to see the community coming together, and local government is the community, and nonprofits, we're a nonprofit for the arts. We can be the vehicle that realizes the dream, but we want the dream to be everybody's dream. We want to be part of that.
So to do this letter, we'd need to know for sure who this grant was from.
Correct. And I would send all of this
Okay, great.
in an email.
So we're not going to do
You
it
get the
tonight.
full download.
Yeah.
No, the grant is due Tuesday.
Then we have to do it
Then
tonight.
we have to sign it tonight. Yeah, this is our last meeting. Until
Well,
No,
Unless we do
You
a
can't.
sit.
So the only person that needs to sign it is the highest elected official.
You go
So
ahead.
if there's permission,
well, if it's
then
single
it's
single
okay.
signature, then I can sign that, and I can come in on tomorrow,
Single.
Monday,
Okay.
whatever. Yes,
Yeah,
Linda.
that's fine.
Has the Arts Council looked into anything about the park? I mean, last year, I believe, or the year before, there was 2 new picnic tables that were put in there, funded from a grant from the foundation. But I think Gail Maroney has a lot of information about that park. I don't know that you can just change everything in it. There was a
No.
lot, I don't know if you guys have.
Yeah, we understand that, and are gonna work with everybody. I mean, it's not just, here's this wonderful idea, crash, We're just at the beginning of the grant process, so we wanted to, just get a basic statement from the.
I know Gail had something, she
Yeah.
had a lot of paperwork
Yeah.
and it was,
Yeah.
I think I would contact her or
Yeah, it'd be great to have her be part of the.
somebody
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
knows, what
Yeah,
the
what
park was
was- yeah, the
supposed
history
to
of
be
it.
like, and, when
Yeah.
it was donated, what the purpose was and everything else, but
yeah.
I'm not saying that they don't need $150,000 to go into the town, but I just think that you don't wanna step on any toes either
Yeah.
from the history of it before.
Yeah,
I
thank
think
you.
that's a good point.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, and that is a huge point, and the beauty of that is it's an evolving conversation. We have great local advisors. I mean, there's someone who's sitting next to you and in front of you who spend a very, very large amount of their time developing sculpture parks in major cities, and that's Keats. And sitting in the town with Keats, there are a number of just huge resources that would allow for an extension of what's been there, what's there, and then what's to come. It's such an underwhelming piece that is in such a perfect area. There's no reason not to make an effort to improve, rather to enhance what's already there. And again, the point of this is just to get, if we can get in the running for the money, then we can make this happen. But if we're not even going to be close, to be in the running, and this letter is part of it, and it's going to be a big fundraising lift, and it most likely won't be able to be realized, at least in this next little bit.
I just want to say, Carl, one of the emails you got about the rec
Said
vision was
yeah,
saying, wouldn't it be
swings.
great to have
Yeah.
better playground equipment in the village? So
Yeah.
it's kind of timely that way.
I was thinking that too.
Yes.
But, and I'm not against that at all, but I think if you're sitting at a picnic table there or something, the natural beauty, I mean, is the view of the cows, the pond, everything. I mean, I don't think you need to add too many art sculptures. Just look around, just open your eyes, it's already beautiful.
Well, I think
it's-
what was
it's-
mentioned is this is
yeah.
just to get the application going. If you
Yep.
get the money, you can use it. If not, you can give it
Yeah.
back, correct? So
Yeah.
it's just opening up a conversation,
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
is
yeah.
all we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody is ever upset when you return $150.
Right. I'll take it. Send it to me.
And that's where, again, this is a partnership. This is not a one-way deal. And if it comes to the conclusion that, hey, the natural beauty of the scorched grass and open field and outdated playground, that actually we've got a testimonial from Suzanne Morgan. Her children, or her grandchildren, don't even like going to play there anymore. The interest value is just not
What
there.
happened to an
So
old tire swing?
Right, I was gonna say, I think these kids are getting a little.
I could get a cardboard box and make fun of
But I don't think
it.
you're gonna be able to put water in there,
No,
with town water. You're gonna have to put black grass, that's Mother
Yes.
Nature.
so we're digressing a little.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
A big component that I just want to make absolutely clear is that there would be no additional town financial resources allocated to this. The only things that I would see, if there's liability insurance for the already existing playground, that might, it might increase just a little bit, but probably not, because it would be the existing footprint. The other thing would be the mild maintenance that probably wouldn't deviate too far from the current maintenance, as if there's sculptures there, it just means mowing around them. And the last thing would be if we wanted to run electricity to it to add light. That would be the only utility that would come into the equation that would not already be there.
So,
There's not gonna, it's not like we're looking for a building added or anything along those lines. It's gonna require maintenance down the road. I mean, we're talking potentially maybe electricity and another hour or two of hand mowing.
So very, very small increases, and really the point of this is not to add financial stress onto the town. This is to enhance the town. We've got this good grant opportunity. We'll do a fundraising campaign for it. We would be bringing in high quality sculptures too. So a big portion of, half of what's going into it is going to be amazing art. That's going to be a long-term investment that can be changed out in years to come as things evolve, as interest evolve. But it's not something that we're looking at as like a 1-year residency of a major sculpture or a 2-year. This is something that, it's going to be commissioned, it's going to be representative of the community, it's going to be a point of pride. It's not a throwaway, ditzy something that's going to fall over in the first storm. It's going to be hardy like the people in New Hampshire.
Okay.
Living free.
I make a motion knowing that we don't have to accept the grant and that we'll be part of the process of design and collaboration and veto if need be, to write a letter of support for the grant to get this first phase started.
Second.
Any discussion?
Thank you all.
Can I add to that, sorry?
Oh.
Knowing that it will not include any additional cost to taxpayers.
Correct.
Second.
Any discussion amongst the board?
No.
Hearing none, roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Barry, yes?
Goodson, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. Yes.
I do have a question. Is the Arts Council the receiver of the money, or would the town have to be the receiver of the money?
Arts Council.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We would act as the primary.
All right, thank
Thanks,
you very
Max.
much.
Thanks for coming
Thanks,
in
Lisa.
tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you all for giving us time. Really appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you.
On to the rec department discussion summary.
So that was just to give a quick summary
Was
about,
anybody?
for the public who didn't attend the previous.
Yep. So
I think everybody there was everybody here, so.
pretty much is
Willie
anybody?
was here.
Willie wasn't here, and Bruno wasn't really here.
We got a fair amount of public input about the rec department.
We pretty much just went over what everybody that came in at 5 o'clock, what they were looking for, and how we decided that maybe we should focus on finding somebody who can connect with the already ongoing programs versus trying to create all their own programs. And we tried to narrow down whether maybe we want to start with somebody part-time and incentivize them to move up to full-time, or if we want to start right out with a full-time position. That's a discussion that will be ongoing and that we'll need to think about some more. And also see, if we can, if being part-time, we could even get anybody out to apply for it, because it's hard to find help even offering a solid full-time position with benefits, let alone a part-time position without benefits. Unfortunately, that's just what we're living in right now. But that's pretty much what we talked about. Seemed like it was kind of, I'll say, more sports-based than anything, which we were we're kind of, during the process of hiring last time around, we were kind of really hoping to find somebody that would not so much focus on sports 100% of the time, and maybe include the older population of town, and include,
The field trips.
and the arts and everything possible that might go along with the rec department. And so I think we're still obviously looking for that. But again, the youth and the sports is a huge part of the rec department, and so we, maybe
After school.
after school. So we'll need to have some more discussion on it, I think, and really nail down where we're headed. And also, it was brought up: do we maybe try to find somebody per diem for the fall to get us through this next season that's coming up fairly quickly here? We're going to be halfway through August next meeting, and the first frost is around the corner. So anyway, that's pretty much the discussion we had on the rec
I
department.
don't remember ever talking about the frost.
It's potentially only a month away. So anyway, that's pretty much where we're at. First snow is only 2 months away. So, with that being said, I think that's pretty much the rec department discussion summary. And during public input or anything else, if anybody has anything to add along the way, we want to hear it. I mean, we'd really like anybody from the public to have any input possible, so we can make the decision.
Would you consider sharing from all towns?
Yeah, I think that's a consideration if another town was willing or if we're able to. The other thing, I've actually thought about that myself a little bit, and again, God, I'm drawing a blank on the word. I want to say communication, but
Collaboration.
no,
Coordination.
no, getting there. How do you?
Transportation.
Transportation, thank you. Yeah. Transportation right now, I mean, I think that was a point brought up
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, with the added expense to transportation, not that it always hasn't been expensive, but the added expense in the last few months or 6 months, and potentially that going up even more. And just the time too involved in that. I think that's something to think about it if we collaborated with another town. I mean, like, say our closest town would be Madison, they don't have a rec department right now. Then you look at maybe Ossipee or Moultonborough or, and then you start these, that adds an hour to somebody's day trying to get their kids there if they can afford to get them there. So that's something to think about too. It's definitely a big undertaking, but we're trying to get as much of the town's input as we can before we make decisions. So, anyway, I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and I just want to thank everybody who showed up for the discussion because
It's good.
it's how we know how the community's feeling.
Yep, I do appreciate that people showed up when it first started. I was like, oh, I only got one person, so that was good. All right, on to the TSIC RFQ update with Willie Farnham.
Thank you. Thanks for your time. I just wanted to come in and give a brief update. I sent to Keats the draft that I'd sent in to the USDA. I still haven't heard back from them. I'm really trying to push it along to get an answer from them because, as Emery just mentioned, frost is not that far away. And it'd be nice to have somebody engineering this thing before we get snow on the ground so that it doesn't compound and, oh, well, we can't do anything because there's snow on the ground and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I just brought it in for you to look at, review, see if you had any questions. You'll notice in color, I don't know if you got it in color, but there's highlighted marks as to questions that were asked of the USDA. Hopefully they'll respond back. They do not have a sample request form to send out. They don't have a sample. So there are two people looking at it, and I think by next week, if they haven't responded, we all should make a decision on this and send it out. I don't think it's something that's going to hold them up from doing anything. It's a matter of moving the ball forward. It's in our hands. We're just trying to get yeah, that looks good to us. So,
didn't realize that, I thought USA had a thing. I have sample RFQs and RFPs from my old position that I could probably take out if you want to see any of that language.
well, this one came from, another place that
So
uses
it's fine. Okay.
stuff. I mean, it isn't something I drew up in my head because I'm not that quick at this point. Used to be, but a lot of it's faded. So anyway, in the yellow is things that you all need to decide how you want people to respond and when you want them to respond. And so I just wanted to touch base with you and figure by next week we really ought to have something that gets out, because otherwise we're going to be September, October, snow on the ground.
So final draft of this by next week?
That's what I'm hoping for, and I will again
So
rattle
right
rattle the cage of USDA.
Hopefully it's September, October, November, December, then snow on the ground.
Well, but we also know how slow things sometimes move.
Yes, I
Am
understand.
I right that on the current RFQ, the only two things that you're looking for is whether or not we want the town administrator to be the contact and a deadline date? Is that correct?
That and also in
Exhibit
there would be
2.
the days of how long before the engineer would have to
Oh,
get the
yeah, okay,
documents
9.
into.
Yeah, I see that, okay.
And, so, and that's really,
Have you decided right now?
Well, I mean, I think having the town administrator be the contact person makes the most sense. A deadline date, if we want it to be done before snow,
Well, you want to give all the engineers out there, you want to get a large group of them sending in, yeah, I'd like to do the job, here's my profile,
So do
here's
we
my
have to give them
information.
enough time?
So you want to give them enough time.
I know, like
So
with HEB, some of their projects now, they're just saying, we'll get it by the first of the year. We'll put something in by the
A
first of the year.
proposal? Or,
Well, yeah, I mean, they're way out and short of help like everybody else. That was firsthand from one of the
Well, let's shoot for
engineers
the
a couple
moon
weeks ago.
first, because I want to
Well,
shoot for the
I
moon
mean,
first.
unfortunately, I hope that's not the case with the town, but
But I mean,
you can extend it.
yeah.
so
But
if we
have
fill
to.
this out now with your colored sections filled in, you are waiting for the USDA to give it a thumbs up, or we can
We can
submit
still go
it?
ahead and do it. I mean, I
Okay.
think, I was trying to get them to say, yeah, it looks good and great, so that there is no, well, let's see, you really should have asked this or asked that, or, but they don't have any requirements, so it's up to us. I was just trying to get their blessing. I
so
guess.
we're trying to. What are we looking for right now? Then the
The
contact
deadline
person.
I think Keats is gonna
Yeah,
do the contact.
yeah. And then
The deadline date, and then how many days, within
do
how
the
many
design.
days to do the design?
do we? I
Not to
mean,
respond
is
to
it
the
deadline
RFQ.
date?
What?
Deadline date of the
October.
1st of September, the 15th of September.
I'm thinking like September 31st, maybe.
Yeah, if you did September 31st for a deadline for all the engineers, then you're gonna have
It's not even
Uh,
in the paper yet.
process of going through all of the documents that they send in. Then you're going to have to pick the engineers that you want to interview, interview those, and then you're going to have the subsequent time where you're going to go through and do the fee structure and all the other stuff, and then the deadline on time to have their drawings and everything back, which, you know, if you do 120 days, that would be June, May, I guess May. Don't add well either this hour. You know, so really be nice to get this in the works as quick as possible so that the bid could go out as soon as it can. I mean, you might try and shorten it up. I don't know if we can. That's the whole problem.
But I think we're hoping there'll be a final for our next meeting, okay? But if there's specific feedback we can provide
Right.
now, that would be helpful.
Get it all drafted up and ready to go so the next meeting you could vote to put it out to all the advertisers that are out there. You know, all the people that we can think of, and send it up every flag in the state that we can think of to get as many people to bid on it, or not bid on it, but to respond and be interested.
So why don't we just fill in the blanks right now so you can type it and we can, right? Is that what we're saying?
We don't have to type it, but we can certainly provide feedback, because we're still waiting for the USDA to approve it or
But
not.
he just said we don't have to wait for
Yeah, I
USDA.
don't, it's not a requirement of them, but
It
sounds
certainly would help.
it always helps to have your funding agent, your biggest funding agent say,
Say yes.
yeah, go ahead.
Because one of the particular things that I'm still not comfortable with in the RFQ is the respondents get points for being a
Right.
small and
Right.
minority or women-owned business. And I think the only way you could do that if some entity has a list of those who qualify. What's a small business to me may not be a small business to you.
Right.
So the town doesn't have to be making those kind of decisions. So the USDA or somebody needs a list, so we have something to rely on. Oh, we shouldn't have that in.
I think there's a registered list of those by state. That's, you qualify and you get on the list,
And
typically.
I think we need to know that before we agree to give somebody points for something, and we
Right.
don't know if there's a list.
Agreed.
And I just assumed the SDA had their own, but maybe not. If they don't have a requirement that they approve the RFQ, then maybe they don't have their own list. But we need to find out.
Okay,
So you'd like us to wait a week?
to
Yes.
answer those questions.
Okay.
Because otherwise, I don't know how we'd offer points for what's a minority-owned business. I don't know.
Can you research that this week?
Sure.
Are there any other things that we need to look into by next week that we feel like we need more clarification on?
Willie, did you say on number 9, the highlighted part about the number of days of notice, 120? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that, you know, what's that, 4 months?
I would hope. No, 4.
4.
Trust me, I thought about this. For 3 times 4 is 12.
Okay. You know, I mean, that puts it, if you've got somebody on board by November 1st, you know, in March, you might be able to be putting out a bid for the work.
Okay, so Richard will look up the number 4 and 5, the small business definition, and the whether or not there's a list of minority or female-owned firms. And that's the last blank we have to decide next week, if we've just filled in the other ones, right?
And I mean, you know, they can always submit it more earlier than 120 days. you
Yeah.
know, I mean,
Right.
and in
That's
talking
the
with the
limit.
engineers, you can say, you know, this is the absolute deadline we gotta go by here, folks, but if you wanna put it in next month, we'll take it.
Right.
Sort of
Yeah.
type thing. So,
Would that maybe be part of the interview process? If,
yeah.
you know, they could.
I mean, if somebody says, I
incentivize-
can't do it for a year, you're probably gonna say, well,
Right.
let's
Yeah.
see who's next.
Yeah. All right,
Thank you, Willie, for coming
yeah,
in.
thank you for coming, is that all you got?
Yeah, and just sort of trying to keep you updated. And
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I've seen Killing Frost August 29th.
I'm hoping for a nice
This is gonna be my least favorite meeting of the year.
middle of October.
23rd.
23rd, you got it?
All right.
Same here, it was June 10th.
Willie, you still on the pool?
What you get for living at the bottom of that?
Yeah.
Gonna take home.
Yeah.
Yes,
Willie, could you just refresh my memory?
Okay.
How many recycling centers do we have in town? Like the Rickers plant, I know, there's one on Route 41. Is there 3 or 4 in town?
That's metal recycling.
Well, I mean, you have the one off
Just any
41, which
recycling.
is, I'm trying to think of the name now.
I don't.
The North Country.
North Country Recycling
Yep.
Yeah.
is
yeah,
over
that's
there,
41.
and I mean, they deal with mostly metals.
Yes.
They don't deal with plastics or anything
And
else.
they're all light
Correct.
metals like copper and stuff like that, whereas
Brass.
Rickers does cars and.
Yeah.
Steel.
Rickers goes cars, and he does, you know, he takes the cans from the transfer station. Other than that, I don't know of any other recycling. And they're really, in a way, they're recycling facilities, but they're not, because they don't recycle there. They're actually transfer stations.
Correct.
They bundle it and transfer.
Well,
So
isn't that what we would do then?
That's what we would be doing.
Correct, so where
Yeah,
is that going and how much is, you know, like,
China. I'm just kidding.
Where's
what is the, once it's packaged and so forth?
Private companies buy it, don't
I
they?
think right now,
Really? No?
when we were just there, a lot of it, I think he said was going to Minnesota, is that right?
Ohio and New York,
I thought,
whoever's the highest bidder with the
Yeah.
least
I
trucking.
thought he was
Right.
saying that right now
Closer
is,
is better, yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, Ohio, New York, and
It's whoever wants
Massachusetts.
it. My thing is, we'd probably be going through NRRA, who we belong to as a committee, as a town, rather. We belong to them, and they do marketing. You know, you call them up and say, I got a load, and they'll get a whole bunch of prices and say, well, pick your price.
Yep.
Do we know where they, the question I think was further, do we know where it goes from there? So we sell it off, right?
They do.
And it's not really recycling, it's just, it's just moving it.
Re-dumping.
Do we know where it goes? No, we don't.
No,
Again,
no,
we
at
can
this time,
follow it.
we would pretty much be doing the same thing. We would be going to the highest bidder for the, you know.
Yeah.
Best price we can get for the commodity at
Yeah,
the
so
time.
if they, whatever they do with it at
Right.
that point is,
Could be
Yeah,
50
but
cents.
nobody's just gonna buy it and then, you know.
Wait on it and hope the price goes up. It's not gold.
So,
You just get rid
I
of it.
guess
So
I
just be
understand the
more
question,
wary
but
of
I think that's pretty much the answer. It goes to whoever is the highest payer at that time.
Right. I mean,
So,
I don't know where each individual product goes. And
I think the question is more to the fact that it's not really actually recycling. We're just bundling stuff and
Nor is
shipping
it
it out.
educational.
So that was the point I think we
Yep.
were trying to make, right?
Correct, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, right, yeah, I mean, we're not gonna set up a facility to change the product into something new.
Correct.
We're just trying to ship it away as inexpensively as possible.
Let somebody else deal with
Well,
all right.
When they have.
there is no way,
it. Educate.
it's all about we.
Thank you.
Thank
It
you.
is.
All right.
It is.
Thanks for coming in tonight, Willie.
Yep.
Thanks, Will.
On to the administrator report.
Hi, Glenn.
Excuse me.
Okay, so the account balance is $4,448,133. The main things I was dealing with this week were putting that mobile home up for sale. It's posted in the Conway Daily Sun, on the website, the Exchange, and I still have to put it on our bulletin board. We set a minimum price of $1,000 with a deposit of $500, and we've had one call so far, and the person wanted to see the inside of the trailer. So I think we've agreed that on Saturday the 20th we'll open it up for public viewing for an hour or two or whatever. And that's the update on the trailer. We have scheduled the 91A training for electeds and appointeds for September 12th at 5 p.m. I think I misunderstood both NHMA and the lawyer. I thought we could invite the public, but apparently that's not how these classes work. They're set up for electeds and appointeds, which is still great. And Maureen had a great suggestion. She sent in sort of like a one-page cheat sheet from NHMA on public meetings and governmental records, the 91A rules, and she suggested we link it on the website for people to be able to access that information easily. So I thought that was a great idea.
Yeah.
And you all should decide if you want to do that.
Yeah.
Do you want a motion to do it?
I don't think it needs a motion.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
It's, yeah.
I think it's a great idea.
Okay, then I will. And then finally, working on scheduling department heads, I sent out a rotating schedule of the 6 different departments plus health and welfare. And Richard had the suggestion that maybe you all would want to meet with other departments of the town. So here's a list. The departments that we have scheduled are fire, police, theoretically rec, maintenance, and the highway department. But then there.
Transfer station.
Oh, did I miss that? Yeah, sorry about that. That's an important one.
You almost.
Sorry, Glenn.
Almost. Somebody asked you to.
And then the others are planning, and again, you all, planning board, conservation commission, tax collector, trustee of the trust funds, cemetery, library, sewer commission, supervisor of the checklist, health officer, welfare officer. So
So the
some of
reason
us
why
already report back from some of those,
Right.
though.
they're not really
The
reporting.
reason why I raised it is, I recently had a meeting with Jim Bowles to understand the structure of the fire department. And I didn't realize till then that we have very limited oversight, we the board have very limited oversight of the fire department. It's different than the police department. I think in most people's minds, police department, fire department, they're kind of the same, they're the public safety people. Well, they are, but we have very limited, if any, oversight of the fire department. So I think in the past we've had departments come in as part of our oversight function, which is great. But if that's true, we need to be very clear we have very little over the fire department. So if the fire department comes in, then maybe there are other entities like that we'd like to enhance communication. But it shouldn't just be the fire department because we thought we had oversight that we don't. Maybe the library should be here. Maybe there's 2 or 3 other entities that should be here to increase the flow of communication, not as part of an oversight function. So that's the issue that I had is, if the fire department's here, then maybe there's others like that.
Some of those were appointed to, so we have a select board rep at the library, at the planning board, conservation commission, cemetery, sewer.
I don't know that it's so much the oversight either as it is just maybe the public hearing what's going on with them, if they've had anything significant happen in the past, the recent past. And maybe even for the selectmen that don't have time to maybe meet with them during the day or on an off day that we don't have a meeting or something, just to hear what's going on with their department. What have they been working on lately? What have they been? Has the fire department had anything really significant happen lately? How's their part-time help and stuff working out? How's their You know, are they looking for help? You know, with the other departments, you know, stuff like that. I think it's just an update for everybody. That's my feeling of it anyway, not so much decision making from the select board. It's just the selectmen's meeting, I think, is a good, well, I'd like to think it's a good turnout of the town once in a while and so they're there, then it's a good opportunity for them to share with the town what's going on with their department. But that's my take of it.
So if we think we have the right rotation, then we should just keep it. But we should just make decisions on who that should be. One of the ones I was thinking of is the maintenance department is one guy, and we can have him walk in here whenever we want. I don't know if we need him in on the rotation. And that's very different than the police department, the fire department.
And maybe we have somebody like every couple months, like somebody like the maintenance department that's maybe doesn't have as much of an update. Maybe they come in and double up with one of the bigger departments that might be on more of a strict rotation. I mean, or like the welfare officer that just came in. Obviously, I really don't think we probably need her in on the same rotation as the highway department or the police department. That's my take of it anyway.
So I like the idea of bundling them up, because if we do one at a time, it's a big stretch.
Yeah, I agree.
And for police and fire in particular, I think we should see them more than once every 6-8 weeks. So maybe we do a big and a small every meeting.
It's something that we need to think about, I think. I mean, it's and maybe we skip some of the smaller ones every time around.
Or do it like quarterly or something like that. Or...
Yes, Linda?
Well, I think that, I mean, we don't, on the agenda I don't think we have the transfer station or the police department on it, but they're here. So I just think that you should just open it up that if anybody has anything to say, come on in.
Certainly,
I don't think they
anytime the
should have
police
to be on
department,
this, but I
anytime they
mean-
want to come,
Right,
we'll put them on the agenda.
But I don't think they need to be on the agenda, but I mean, if they have something that they need to report, tell them in everything, if it's the library or whatever.
I think they all know.
They
that
all
they
should
should-
That's every
Just
selectman
open
meeting.
it up,
It's
it should
open.
be always open.
Yeah,
because,
they
I
know
mean,
that, I
Yeah.
think.
I don't
It is.
think we need the rotation so much as that if they've got something, come on in.
Well, the rotation is exactly for the point you made earlier.
If there
is
isn't
that
anything.
if we drop the ball or if they don't come in, or Dana's busy, or it's winter, so Richard's.
I mean, they used to come in, a lot of them came in almost every week.
Yeah.
And if they were busy with something on a call or whatever, they didn't show up. But I mean, they'd be there the next week.
I like the idea of seeing our department heads in at a meeting. And, you know, maybe not, I don't think we
Not
need
every
them all
meeting,
in
but I
every
mean, as
week.
much as
But,
they can.
I
you know,
think they appreciate the rotation too. I mean, a lot of them have meetings at the same time. Well, 2 of them do, and you know, just they're all working. So you know, coming to a meeting every week for 5 minutes at 6 o'clock might not always work for them. So
Yep.
yeah.
Are we on the administrator report still?
I think we're done.
Yeah.
And I got
Lots
good
on our
input.
agenda.
I'll
It's
make
funny how that got around there.
I will work on the scheduling. I'm not quite sure exactly what schedule I'm gonna create, but
It's gonna be.
we'll give it a go.
Well, we can respond and alter it
Okay.
as needed. But I think it's important that we just have some department head in at least every meeting.
Yeah.
And then maybe we start, if we have the police department in, maybe we can have.
But on these other ones, was that a no-go?
I don't think we should ask
I
people
mean,
to
I
come
think
in if we're already on their board. If we're going to their board meetings.
Oh, I
then
don't
maybe
think.
the liaison should report out.
No, I'm saying like the library was on that
Normally-
list. We already have a select board member who goes to the library meetings.
Right.
Normally during the.
They report
They,
out
in
when
the
they're
selectmen's update,
gone.
they're supposed to.
Okay,
be
in
doing.
their,
No, we're already
right.
reporting out on
You're
those.
already doing that, yep, okay.
And if we have the liaisons, so if you feel strongly about reporting something during your selectmen update, you can also do that.
Okay.
You know, we can also report to the public if there's something we've talked to our department head about, just like I try to do with the highway department. If there's something that I've been called about during the week,
Then you're representing them.
yeah, I'll let the
Ding, ding.
town know. But also, they'll be in for their update every
Okay,
month.
so I'm
or
not gonna add
6
any of
weeks,
these
so.
guys.
Yep.
But we're gonna keep fire on.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So which departments are those that should be here like every month? Police, fire, and highway?
Police, fire, highway,
Rec, theoretically.
Rec
and transfer
transfer.
station. Unfortunately, Glenn, sorry. I'm gonna put you on there.
Okay.
Those are the
I think the 6
biggest
we
ones,
originally
not to
picked, yeah.
Yeah.
exclude anybody, but yeah, I think those are the important ones. So
Alright.
on to the signature file. I make a motion to approve the Selectmen's meeting minutes for August 4th, 2022.
Second.
You can do it.
Roll call vote.
You said yes?
Barry, yes?
Goodson, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts abstains. 4 yes with 1 abstention. I make a motion to approve the Selectmen's meeting minutes for July 21st, 2022.
Second.
Was that Goodson?
Yeah.
Yes. Roll call vote.
You said yes?
Barry, yes?
Goodson, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. I make a motion to approve the non-public meeting minutes under RSA 91-A:3 to E, Session 1, August 4th, 2022, and approval of the non-public
I
minutes.
think we have to
Under-
separate them.
I know.
Oh.
I have to abstain for the first one.
Okay, we'll just do one at a time then. So I rescind that motion. I make a motion to approve the non-public meeting minutes under RSA 91-A:3 to E, Session 1, August 4th, 2022.
Second.
Roll call vote.
You said yes?
Barry, yes?
Goodson, yes.
Prentice, abstain.
Roberts, yes. 4 yes with 1 abstention.
The next two can be untabled.
No, because I missed the third one.
Oh, okay. Alright.
I make a motion to approve the non-public meeting minutes under RSA 91-A:3 to A, Session 2, August 4th, 2022.
Second.
Roll call vote.
You said yes?
Barry, yes?
Goodson, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. I make a motion to approve the non-public meeting minutes under RSA 91-A- oh geez, hold on. RSA 91-A:3 to C, Session 3 for August 4th, 2022.
Second.
Roll call vote.
You said yes?
Barry, yes?
Goodson, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts abstains. 4 yes with 1 abstention. I make a motion to approve the taxpayer repayment agreement for map 215, lot 6.
Second.
Roll call vote.
You said yes?
Yes.
Goodson, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts abstains. 4 yes with 1 abstention. Make a motion to approve the account payable in the amount of $291,924.34.
Second.
Any discussion? Excuse me. Hearing none, roll call vote.
You said yes?
Barry, yes?
Goodson, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Excuse me. Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. Yeah, I think I'm going to in a second. I'm good. The year to date is $4,943,180.90. Selectmen's update. Richard?
Not much to update. I did have a conversation with the chair of the sewer commission. They have developed a written agreement that they've now sent to the users who have offered to fund the assessment of the sewer capacity. The sewer commission wanted to make sure that everybody knew what the money that's been given to them was for and that there were no conditions attached to it. So that's pretty much, I think, what it'll say. So the 4 or 5 users who have donated money to do the assessment of the sewer capacity are looking at it now, and maybe as soon as their meeting next week, it will be approved. So that's all I have.
I went to the library trustees meeting, but couldn't find my notes this afternoon, so I'll report on that next week.
Okay.
I went to the Conservation Commission meeting. They're doing all sorts of good stuff like they always do. One of the big topics again was the Betty Steele loop. Still sort of talking about what has to happen in order to comply with the state of
not using the old part and rerouting it, and so new signs are gonna be made, and there's a volunteer day, or 2 days actually, to volunteer to help with that. And they talked about ways to sort of put the word out about the heron hiking, or the heron club, or
Hiking heron.
hiking herons. So I thought I'd just, and there I go, trying to advertise for them and screwing up the name. But, you know, just sort of talked about different ways to get those numbers up. I guess a while ago, they used to have a lot of people going for that badge, and lately, for the last couple of years, there really hasn't been, so just trying to revisit that. Some conservation people have checked out the mapping overlays and really appreciated the use of that, and so I wanted to report back to Keats on that if they haven't told you directly. A lot of appreciation by them on the different overlays that have happened.
Did they have any feedback on those overlays?
The one sort of, I wouldn't say negative, but just like a wonder was that they had a hard time finding the key to go with all of the maps. Certain maps they would click into and it would be coded and everything, but then they had a hard time finding out what the different colors and codes actually
You
meant.
have to like go, you have to back out
Right.
of it to figure out which ones pop, yeah.
Yeah, so that was sort of the only sort of troubleshooting.
Helpful.
Other than that, very well received. And then I was gonna go to the Economic Development Commission meeting, but we didn't have a quorum. So now our meeting is moved to August 29th at 6 o'clock here. And that's all I have to report.
We had a short personnel committee meeting on Tuesday. And I think our next meeting is, I think also the 29th or 30th. And it's posted. And at that time, we're going to work on developing a survey for town employees, a draft that we can bring to the board to get the board approval so that we can send it home with all kinds of questions about our town personnel policies. So that's that.
On to me. Trying to think. I don't think I have anything to update. What's that?
So weren't you out of town for most of it?
Yeah, I was out of town over the weekend from the last meeting till Monday. Guess I don't have anything to update this week. I did talk to Richard Roberts about where they were working and stuff. They've been working on Brown Hill doing ditches and stuff, and you know, putting bark mulch and stuff once they kind of widen the ditches out and stuff, putting like chips back on the banks just to restore them so that stuff comes back, grows, looks natural. And there was also, I guess he said that there was some concern about all the trees around town that had been flagged to be cut, and he just wanted to let me know that everything with a checkered flag on it is not the town that's cutting it. It's going to be Eversource's cutting. So he had a couple people, I guess, reach out to him that were pretty concerned about the number of trees being cut, but it wasn't so much the town as it was Eversource. So he said pretty much all the trees that are flagged for the town to cut are dead and hazardous. Kind of the reason to cut them. So anyway, that's I guess all for my update.
That just reminded me of one other thing that was talked about during the conservation meeting, and sorry, Dick, but they were talking about the Tamworth nurses wanting to put in a handicap accessible path, and the discussion for that is, and the reason why you talking about highway department reminded me of it, would be on Scotts Road, and they would use the Hammond Trail parking, which would need to be expanded, which they were saying is actually pretty tight. It only fits like 4 cars, but if people park the wrong way, you can't even get in and or out of it.
Where was parking? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Hammond Trail.
Hammond Trail?
Yeah.
But off of Scott Road, right?
Off of Scott Road,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
And so the trail, they have a, I'm sure the Tamworth Nurses has a lineup too, but it would actually go across the street from the trailhead on like the flat, because Hammond is quite a steep trail, so it would go across the way. Didn't look like it would go to the pond, but anyway, that's something that they're looking into, so I just wanted to
Nice.
update it.
All right. I guess that's it for Selectmen's update. On to public input.
I have a question.
Yes, Bruno?
When is Richard gonna be meeting with the select board? This
When does he come in?
schedule that you
Yeah.
guys
when
have.
is the
He
schedule?
sent that schedule.
When's the?
I sent out a schedule,
next
but
week?
we had questions, so
Right.
it's
Hold
not
on.
final.
I can look really quick.
Thank you.
When would you have sent that out?
2 weeks ago.
It's not gonna be next week.
Here it is,
it might
Friday, I think, maybe. So
Yeah.
it looks like, August 11th was welfare officer, next week is the police department,
Okay.
August 25th is the road agent, September 1st is transfer station, September 8th is maintenance, September 15th is the health
So it's
officer.
not next week.
No.
Nope,
Thank you.
Do you have a specific question?
No, I just wanted the record to show that I've been up on Pease Hill Road and Brown Road, and he's doing a great job. I think that
Okay.
it makes a big difference. But I just thought that I wanted to tell him that personally, not,
Yep. Thank
great.
you know, we'll be
And
getting
I try to. He usually calls me or vice versa about every week, so I try to have an update as often as I can.
Oh, sure.
Where they're working and what they're working on and why they're doing it. Because sometimes, you know, with anything to do with excavating, it kind of looks like a bomb went off until you're all said and done. So sometimes people drive by and get the wrong idea and think that you're really trying to hurt things rather than help things. So
That's what
anyway,
that was what my intent.
thank you, Linda.
The toilets are still out.
Still out there?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I didn't know if Keats got hold of them or not. You said that the bill was large, but you thought they were gonna pick them up on Thursday last week.
Last Thursday, she said,
So,
I can try calling again.
good luck with that company, but
I know.
just, you gotta be on top of them.
Wow.
And also, I think it was last Thursday night's storm, there was trees down around the townhouse, and the parking lot is still a mess. All weekend, the handicap spot couldn't even be parked in. There was such a mess, and somebody did throw some of that out of the way, but it's still a mess a week later.
Yep. That just reminded me too. That's the other reason Richard had called me is I guess there was almost like I'm gonna call it a microburst up around. What is it? I can think of where it is in my head, but is it Pine Hill Road?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, the
Um,
trees down there? Was
The
that
trees were
visible?
so they two of them spent the night on Thursday night to try to just get the road open and all day, maybe Friday, and then they got the road open, but they spent the day Monday and maybe Tuesday really actually, you know, chipping it and getting rid of the wood and everything. Because I guess it was, I didn't see it personally, but there was a mess up there.
Well, it was amazing that when you drove, even the next day, I mean, they did so much work because
Yep.
there were trees, giant trees.
Yeah, I
and you
guess
could-
like
you could
full-size
drive.
oak trees just
Huge
down
trees.
everywhere.
So does,
Yeah.
who's in charge of the parking lot at the townhouse, Richard or Tim?
No, the town is Richard. Richard is he normally always does the plowing and everything there.
Sweeping and
Yeah.
blowing or whatever.
So I'll if I speak with him, I'll let him know about that too. So.
And there's the tree by Old Nation Rock, there's a cone out there.
Yeah.
But I mean, people have been parking under it. 2 or 3 times I've gone by and there's a car parked underneath it and they're standing up on top of the rock. But I mean, it's,
Hey, you're talking the tree that leans over the road.
but it fell down
Oh.
and it's
It's
broken.
like-
But I mean, so there's a cone there so that you drive around it. But I mean, people are parking under it to crawl up the rock. It's not the smartest thing to do, but it needs to be taken care of because I don't think people should be parking under it. But
Okay.
they can't figure it out themselves, but I mean, it's dangerous.
Okay.
And the CIP, do they have anything to do with the townhouse?
Yeah, that's another thing I was going to update is so the windowsills on the outside of the windows, the frames, I guess I'll call them, sills, whatever, are really starting to deteriorate and rot, and they need to be.
This is at the townhouse?
Yes, rebuilt. So maybe that would be something you
Yeah.
could maybe have some input on, Carl, if you.
I'm gonna take a look at it.
I mean,
Okay.
it's a historic
I'll-
building, we just can't have anybody just think that
I
they know
know.
what they do, you know what I mean?
I'll-
But I mean, they're, just touch them, there's
Yeah.
mushrooms growing on them.
I'll give you a call tomorrow about that, and
All right.
we can
Yeah.
let's line
So
something
that
up.
it is a CIP thing, because it's gonna be more than $5,000.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
And I mean, I think Willie can talk about it too, I mean, the back steps, the emergency exit, that's all been rotten for a few years. But I mean, I know it's kind of been ignored, I think, from the CIP, I think that they need to look at the building.
yeah.
Well, the CIP would not be
Right.
going out, they want
No,
people to
I
come to
mean,
them. and say,
somebody
"Yeah."
needs to,
They're not gonna go looking
no,
at everything.
no, but I mean, somebody needs to be
Trying to
on
find money to
Yeah.
spend.
Maybe we can line something up to take a look at that. You'll
The
have
next
an idea.
CIP meeting's the 30th, so if you had any numbers the week before,
Yeah.
even vague
Well,
numbers,
I'll give you a call tomorrow and figure something out.
then we could add it.
I think that's it for now that I've remembered. I need to start making more notes before these meetings. I think I remembered my whole update now.
Right, no.
So, all right.
We're good.
Public input. Is there any more public input? Hearing no more public input. I make a motion to go into non-public under RSA 91-A:3 2A, Session 1, and non-public under RSA 91-A:3 2C, Session 2.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Yes?
There, yes.
Yes.
Roberts, yes. And we are now in non-public at 7:07 p.m. It being 7:44, I make a motion to come out of non-public.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
There, yes.
Goodson, yes.
Prince, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. I can't see it.
I wouldn't.
No, minutes are not sealed.
We didn't talk about it.
We didn't make a motion to adjourn.
Nope. Motion to adjourn.
Please hold on.